So I'm glad to welcome Jeffrey Dubélé, who's the managing partner of Flosiak, Fleming and Associates and the managing director of Polaris Citizenship and Investment Consultancy Services in St. Lucia. Jeffrey has a master's degree in commercial and corporate law and has over 20 years experience as a practicing attorney. A very good morning to you, Jeffrey.
Good morning, Bruno. Nice to be here and to be a part of.
It's great to see you again. Although we were just saying we saw each other in Brussels last month for the investment migration forum. And I'm also joined by Keith Isaac, who's an attorney at law at the firm Flosiak, Fleming and Associates, and is the general manager for Polaris Citizenship in St. Lucia. Keith has a master's degree in law and is a certified investment migration professional through the IMC education and training offering. He's also a five-time former St. Lucia National Youth Parliamentarian and a former junior minister for tourism in St. Lucia. Very good morning, Keith, and welcome to Crossing Borders.
Good morning, Bruno.
So, gents, kangaroos and bananas. Well, as a bit of background for our audience, and I certainly like to know a little bit more about how you came and how you penned this title. But look, the motives for obtaining citizenship and the perceived benefits of citizenship by investment often vary. However, there is one thing that binds this motivation together, and that is often the desire to obtain and retain the citizenship of a respected, legitimate democracy which is governed by the rule of law. And that's something which is shared by all migrants and economic migrants, no matter which migration pathway they choose. So the rule of law in principle, which dates back to the 16th century Britain, prescribes that all citizens must bear equal subordination to the law of the land. So that's a little bit of background, but we do want to focus on the rule of law in the Caribbean and how St. Lucia plays a role with that. And I want to go in straight with a question to you, Jeffrey. Some commentators in the space of investment migration have had and aired concerns about the legitimacy of the Caribbean's legal system. As an attorney working in that system, can you provide us some insights for our viewers who are coming from Asia Pacific, the Americas, but also Europe and the Middle East, on the Caribbean's judiciary, please?
Yeah, well, thanks a lot, Bruno, and thanks for having us. It's really a pleasure to once again, work alongside with the IMC. Particularly on a topic such as the one we're going to discuss this morning. We see it as part of our duty to continue assisting, people, stakeholders in the industry, and just potential investors about, just educating people about, what underpins, particularly in this case, the concept of the rule of law. So to just backtrack for a minute, the title came from, or it arose out of a very disparaging article and that we read one day on LinkedIn. It was I'll never forget it. It was a Saturday morning, and I'm sort of scrolling through and bounced on this article where this commentator, I dare say, without spending any time to even scratch the surface to do any research on the jurisdiction. When I speak of the jurisdiction, I might speak particularly of St. Lucia, but there's a wider Caribbean jurisdiction. Without doing any research at all to understand the concept of our judicial system and its history and its present day composition and administration and management, referred to refer to our courts as kangaroo courts and refer to our countries as banana republics. I mean, it was the most far-fetched article that I'd read in a long time. But again, you
Right.
know, it's irresponsible of people if they just want to do damage to you with no sense of accountability. And that's where it came up. So, you know, I came down to the office that day and spoke with Keith. We sort of urgently met and figured, well, we would pen something out and put it out there. And obviously the best people to put it out with was the IMC because of, you know, your mandate and to guide and assist and educate people. So that's where it came from, and we felt very strongly about it, and particularly because, you know, the thing about it is that jurisdictions leverage their sovereignty to create a CBI or an RCBI program, and so everything comes out of the law. So if you're from a jurisdiction or looking to invest in a jurisdiction without, you know, a good strong subscription to the rule of law, then the program is not worth anything.
Right. So, Jeffrey, if I can, how is your legal system structured in St. Lucia?
Yeah, well, it's interesting to get a little bit of background. So as most people would know, we were former British colonies. And so there was a transition between, if you like, being totally governed by the UK to where we are today as independent states. So the first step was for what we call associated statehood, where an order was passed to grant and to create what is now our Supreme Court. Now, that court in present day is itinerant, so it serves a number of different territories, well, member states, which would be in the context of CBI, Dominica, Grenada, Antigua, St. Lucia, amongst others. And interestingly, some British overseas territories, Montserrat, Anguilla, and the British Virgin Islands. So the court actually travels through those territories and member states, sitting in those various jurisdictions to hear matters. And you have a two-tiered court, which the first tier would be in the High Court, which would be resident in the jurisdiction, hearing, you know, civil and criminal matters on a daily basis. And then you would have the second tier, which is the Court of Appeal, which again sits at various scheduled dates and times during the course of the year to hear appeals from the High Court. Now, what is interesting, just like, and it's based on the judicial system out of the UK, is that at the Court of Appeal level, we have 3 sitting judges who would adjudicate on any matter. So basically, you could have, just like in the UK, dissenting opinions, but at the end of the day, the majority opinion, you know, prevail. And that court, as I said, travels through the member states and territories and dispenses justice across those member states. So it's a very strong underpinning with a very rich history coming out of the UK. And what is fascinating about it is that a lot of our take for example our chief justices. We've had 2 chief justices, one who was the founding member of our firm, Sir Vincent Flosac, who sat as a Privy Councillor in the UK at the Privy Council. And as you know, the Privy Council is the final appellate court for the British Commonwealth. And also Sir Dennis Byron, who was our Chief Justice and sat on the UN Criminal Tribunal for Rwanda. So we've had some amazing jurists, not only in their own right, but also what is notable for the purposes of the rule of law is to be recognized at those levels, holding the strong principles of justice and independence and objectivity. To be appointed to those international courts is nothing short of fascinating, and is strong evidence and testimony of the integrity and credibility of our judicial system. So I know I've thrown a lot at you there, Bruno, but you know, we're trying to bring it all together in a very short space of time to give credence to and and getting people to understand, if you like, the strong sense of value of our judicial system.
Yeah, I think there's always definitely a lot of meat on the bone. But I want to bring in a poll that we've put together, which I'm going to put on the screen now for our viewers, because we are talking about citizenship by investment, as you know, the principal business of your firm, and as lawyers, you are licensed agents to handle applications on behalf of third country nationals wishing to become naturalized St. Lucians. And I think here, what we want to know is really to test is a couple of things: is what do the audience know about the legal systems in the Caribbean, and have they been listening a little bit for what you've been saying? So what we're asking is which of these statements is true about the legal systems of the Caribbean CBI offering. So there is no right of appeal against a decision to strip somebody of their citizenship. All 5 islands are under the jurisdiction of the same court, and a decision to grant or deny citizenship is made by one person. So I give you, oh yeah, people are answering really quickly on this. I think everyone's really voted, so let's share those results. The 86% thought the answer was all 5 islands are under the jurisdiction of the same court. Keith, do you want to weigh in on this a little bit?
Well, the majority were definitely correct. All 5 islands are part of the Eastern Caribbean, and we all fall under the Eastern Caribbean Supreme Court, have the same Court of Appeal, and like Jeffrey said earlier, our final appellate court is the Privy Council.
Mm-hmm.